Angela Morgan. I'm a personal trainer and a post-rehab conditioning specialist. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's a love of mine. It's a passion to help people get better and get stronger and feel better overall. And open up the mind and think about ways to do that, because exercise doesn't have to be all, it can be a lot of fun. In fact, I saw something on TV the other day. They said if you exercise and you smile, it actually makes it easier. Rather than thinking, I hate this, try smiling when you exercise. Believe it or not, I tried it, and it did make a difference. I was like, this doesn't work, come on. And I was smiling at the gym I was working at. I was smiling, thinking, yeah, this is good, I'm liking this. And it did make it easier. It's all about attitude. Instead of looking at it as something you hate, you don't want to do it, shift your attitude and think, this is fun, this is good. I'm not saying you have to lift the heaviest weights, and some of these big old guys, they're doing these heavy weights, and they're all, you don't want to be doing that anyway. We just want to build our bodies up a little bit and maintain our health and our bone structure and our muscle tissue. So, I'm glad you all came. What else can I tell you about me? Women, Wine, and Wellness. This is a great group of ladies. Each month we meet here at Harbor Chase, the third Wednesday of every month. And we have a speaker from the health and wellness community. They come and give a presentation on something related to our health and wellness. And it varies each month. Like last month, we had one of the sheriffs from the teaching self-defense. That was fun. That was fun. And then they have a course that some of us went and took, and gained a lot out of that. It was also a free course. And but we got a little taste of it here, and that was great. But each month it's someone different, and it keeps it interesting and exciting. And of course we get to enjoy wine and appetizers and get to know each other. So I hope you guys will return each month and get to know each other a little bit better. I'm trying to build a community of women who are interested in health and wellness, who are interested in taking better care of themselves and their families. And you only get this one body here. And and exercise also is good for the brain. People don't think about that, how much it benefits your brain, not only your body, but your brain. So reach out to people that you know who need help. I have put cards on your table, so if you wouldn't mind taking one, it may not be for you, it might be for someone you know. And I also put little 3x5 cards on here if you want to take notes or if you want to leave a comment. I would appreciate that too. And what else? I guess that's pretty much it. I'm now going to introduce our speaker of tonight, which is Ms. Ceci Earhart. She's going to talk about CBD and the endocannabinoid system, and we're going to learn something interesting and new about that, because most people don't know about the products and about what's out there and how our body works and how it affects us. Ceci, please stand up and give us your all here. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and it is so good to be here in Florida. And I must acknowledge, even though I am a hempaholic, my name is Ceci, and I am a hempaholic, and I feel just so many incredible benefits from this product. I didn't get to sleep last night because of traveling until about 3:45, so I'm going on very kind of an off schedule. So I'm having fun, just kind of settling into this space and feeling all of this energy here. And I am just so grateful to be here. I want to thank Angela, the brainchild behind this organization, and also Michelle for coordinating my visit here. Thank you. So I have been in the health arena, I think, pretty much my entire life. And it goes back to being a kid on the farm. I was raised in north central Iowa, and that was in the 50s. I was born in 1953. So my life was about freedom and safety and play and exploration. And I just didn't have a care in the world, like the kids today growing up with technology and stress and the value that I know I had growing up on the farm. It was really love-based, and I was deeply imprinted with play and love as a kid, and I decided that's also what I wanted to be when I grew up. And when I was also really poor, and I didn't know it. I grew up on a farm in north central Iowa, and I didn't know we didn't have money. It wasn't even an issue because every day I got to eat food from our garden, and I had clothes. A lot of times they were hand-me-downs from cousins, but I didn't know that I was poor, and most of my friends were poor also. And then I went to, my parents saved $253 for me to take a trip to Spain with some of their family friends. And that was when I was 16 years old, so I don't know, that was in like 68 or something. And I begged my parents' friends to be able to go on a 2-day trip to Morocco. So for this innocent farm kid to go to Morocco and to witness the suffering that I witnessed in that country, it changed my life. And like the kids there, their parents would literally cut off an arm or a hand or their nose so they would be more capable beggars. And everywhere we would go, there would be lines of these children. And so I had this experience after that where I knew the kind of privilege that I grew up with, even though it was simple, and then I had a contrast. So I think I was imprinted with suffering at a very early age, and it really has guided me in my life. My only mission is to create more love and to create more health and healing. And I've been on the plant-based diet for over, 45, a vegetarian for about 50 years. I did it when I was a kid because I couldn't stand seeing the pigs, and I knew what was in my freezer. It happened to be my best friend, so couldn't do it. And then a couple years later, when I learned about what happens in the dairy industry, I stopped everything. So I'm just so excited to hear about what you're doing here, and I'm there to support that too, because that's what I've really spent most of my life doing, is being an activist. And I lived in Washington, D.C. and started a national animal rights organization. And but I kept coming back to my full-time, or what I was educated in. I mean, if you really care, what do? You become like a psychologist. And so I got a bachelor's degree in health. It wasn't wellness back then. And then my master's degree, I was trained as a psychotherapist. And I tried doing that for a year, and I bow to all psychotherapists, and I don't know that there are any in the room. But I personally, back in 1980, I could not fit in that box. So I have spent my entire walk of life just trying to integrate my heart with my spirit, with the earth, with my connectedness to the human heart. I don't care who I meet. To me, it's only about a love affair. And just wanting to commune with our essence and who are we really. So I did that for years, had a baby along the way, got married, and I have an incredible 20-year-old son. I didn't do it till I was 44, so I'm an older mama, and I love it. He's 20 now. And when I had a baby, I had to kind of abort my activist career because I chose simplicity and a vow of poverty because I had the choice, and I didn't want my kid to be forced to live that way. So I came back full circle into the field of therapy, and started pursuing lifestyle medicine and energy medicine. So that's really been my career the last 20 years. And where my gift is to help people identify what the root cause is of any physical, emotional, or mental constriction or ailment that we might have. And when we can identify it, we can energetically release it and have a pretty spontaneous healing oftentimes. So I started working with a lot of integrative physicians, docs that are in the field that's called functional medicine. And I would do immersion healings for a lot of their patients, because the physicians today that are in integrative medicine, they know that what's at the root of pretty much anything that we have in our body, it can go back to a transgenerational or an early life imprint. And I loved skating in that arena, and lifestyle medicine, because I do believe that, yes, hemp can play a big role, but it's also all of these other facets that Angela just spoke about. It's really integrating the different dimensions of self, and having support to be able to step into new ways of being with each other and with our food and with our whatever our spirit is, and to be able to feel connected with ourselves. Ultimately, that's what really matters. And I know for me, I've told my son this since he was a itsy bitsy little baby, that my number one love affair is with me. I'm the favorite person, that the most favorite person I know of to hang out with. And I try to teach people that, because if we're not our own number one, if we don't really hold the love deep, it's really hard, I think, for me to be authentic and to share it with others. It has to come from here. So how, she's talking about all this, how in the world is she going to talk about CBD? So, and I was worried that because I didn't get the kind of restorative sleep I'm used to getting, I never do notes, but I actually made note cards this morning because I thought I would need them. So I'm wondering, should I check my notes? When hemp was legalized back in 2014, the docs that I work with got really excited, because throughout history we co-evolved with the hemp and the marijuana plants, and hemp and marijuana, those were the top two medicinal products throughout history. And the timber industry kind of ganged up with what other industry do you think in the 30s?
Alcohol.
The pharmaceutical industry, and the AMA already then, and they lobbied, and it was put on the controlled substance list, and it was outlawed. Mm-hmm. So the most incredible healing medicinal was taken from us. And yet our bodies, throughout history, we grew up with the plant. We've evolved with this plant. So we got really excited about this. But the challenge is oil and water don't mix. We learned that in grade school. Hemp oil, when we extract it from a plant, it is an oil. So we put it into the body. Most of it ends up in the toilet, right? So that was the challenge. The doctors, we were all on a mission to try to find three things: high quality, a cost-effective, and an efficacious CBD full-spectrum hemp oil. And the doctors I work with believe that full-spectrum CBD hemp oil is as powerful and can do pretty much anything medical marijuana does. Now, there's many physicians that I have come to know and work with that challenge me, and it's like, well, the truth is in this bottle. It's in the bottle, right? I'm not going to try to argue. And one thing too, I became very passionate, as did the docs that I work with, about one particular product when it was actually released last fall. But I don't want to bash any other CBD oil or medical marijuana, because I feel if it's working for a person, it's like, all right, stay on that product. So what I want to do is I really want to engage with y'all, but I just want to give you a little bit more information about what to look for in a CBD, because CBD is now the buzzword, right? You just hear about it everywhere. In fact, I'd like to just pause for a minute and just have a couple of you in a couple sentences tell me why you wanted to come today. Like, what was it that was the hook for you? If it had something to do with the topic. Yes.
I wanted to hear, our bodies, like you mentioned, have the cannabinoid receptors that have evolved along with us. So our bodies are set up to accept
Absolutely.
this as medicine. And this has not been studied because it was a class 3, so they didn't do studies. Now the studies are coming out and things like this are happening. My question to you, just so I know where you're coming from and your perspective is, you're a speaker about this. Are you a sales rep? Do you own a company? I mean, what is your position
and I'll get
exactly?
into that.
We're going to have Q&A at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I'll
So this
definitely
is-
get into
this is
that
the
in a minute.
presentation portion.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
I-
why
It just
I
helps me
like
understand
this.
Yeah, and I will, honey, I will address that. It's just that I didn't, my main purpose in being here, as
Education.
Angela and Michelle said, is education. And we are doing an event tomorrow night if you want to learn more about a specific product. But I really wasn't even intending to bring that up until the very end. So we're going to talk about that in a bit.
Well, I really like Angela, and I really like this group. I really do, because every month there's a different speaker, and you never know what you're going to learn, and everybody is very nice here, so I just
How many of you don't know much about CBD, but you've heard about it? Okay, how many of you have spent time educating yourself about full spectrum hemp oil or CBD? Okay, okay. So with what you were saying, it wasn't until a couple of decades ago that a medical doctor in Israel, Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, he started studying the medicinal effects of marijuana. And I bow to him, because what he's done to bring this information mainstream. If you Google researcher marijuana, medical marijuana, and Israel, he'll come up. And he really...
Your phone's in airplane mode, so I can't help you with that at the moment.
You know, that's a little scary.
Did I say okay Google? Whoa. Okay, so anyway, I bow to Dr. Raphael for all the research he's done. And also, it was in 2001, Dr. Ethan Russo actually discovered, and the statistic that is used, I believe, and the doctors I work with, we believe it's very conservative. The figure was that about 75% of us have what's called CECD, and that's a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And I don't know, I mean, and this is me talking with absolutely no science. I don't have any science to back much of what I mean, a lot of what I'm telling you is just like my story. But I believe in traveling around the country and meeting with doctors and talking with them about what's happening in their clinics after introducing a full spectrum hemp oil, that close to 100% of us have a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. Now, is there a test that can actually measure it yet? No. But what we're finding is probably the most important thing. When people take an oil, if people can sleep better, and that seems to be one of the main things that we notice. If you can start getting more REM sleep, if you can start sleeping a little longer, that is going to help you heal, because restorative sleep is what is kind of at the apex of so many of the issues that we have going on in our bodies. And the same is true for pets, that sleep, them having the deep sleep, it's an issue even in the companion animal world. So okay, I want to back up, and before I open it up to a little bit more Q&A, what do you want to look for if indeed you want to find a good CBD full spectrum hemp oil, and why is a full spectrum hemp oil what I would encourage you to look for? A full spectrum hemp oil is the full plant. And in pharmaceutical medicine, what do? We take a full plant and we dissect it, and we take a part of it because we can patent it, and we create a drug, right? You cannot do that with any plant. You cannot take the full plant and patent it. So, does that make sense to everybody? So when we take a piece of nature and we patent it and we put it in our bodies, it's going to have what? Side effects. Whereas when we take the full plant, it has side benefits. All sorts of side benefits. So if you take a pure CBD oil, a CBD isolate, which is not going to be possible after a certain amount of time, because there has been a pharmaceutical company that took one ingredient in the full spectrum hemp plant called CBD, and they isolated it, and they've created a drug. And it was just, we knew this was happening, and it was just announced in July that they now have the full patent rights to this. However, and so we're going to have to take CBD off of our label, but ours and all the other CBD oils, they're going to have to take CBD off the label because it's not patented. Why a full spectrum hemp oil is important is because you're getting over 400 compounds. You're getting flavonoids, you're getting terpenes, you're getting essential fatty acids, you're getting minerals, you're getting vitamins, you're getting the whole, what we call an entourage effect. And when you can take whole plant medicine, all of these compounds that are in nature, in the human body, because we've co-evolved with nature, they work synergistically together. And that's why we get side benefits, not side effects. Okay, so that's really important. And also it's going to be illegal to take pure CBD oil. You have to have a prescription for that. We don't know how long it's going to take for all of that to happen. But what we also suspect is after this pharmaceutical comes out of isolated CBD, that within a year there's going to be a lot of problems with the side effects. You're just taking pure CBD.
Absolutely. It's reductionist science. It happens all the time.
So
Horrible.
full spectrum CBD oil is what you want to look for.
Big business.
Because hemp oil is a bioaccumulator,
Well, kind of.
which
Get
means
bought off.
it's planted to oftentimes suck. It has like so many uses. If you Google hemp, the hemp plant, you'll see some of the websites list 50,000 uses of the hemp plant. One of the uses is it sucks up the toxins from the soil. So if the hemp oil that you're taking is not 100% USDA organic, be very cautious. Because a lot of times we're finding that it's coming from overseas, it's coming from China, it's coming from various other countries. So again, make sure it is USDA organic, okay? That is so important. Most people in mainstream do not want the psychoactive effect. I know for me, I had never smoked marijuana my entire life. So I really didn't want the psychoactive effect. So if you want the psychoactive effect, you can find certain CBD oils that do have more of the THC in it. But a lot of the high quality CBD oils, they are way below the limit, so you're not going to have a psychoactive effect. And the last factor that for cost effectiveness, it's like, okay, we wanted an efficacious product, something that's cost effective, and something that's high quality. So if oil and water don't mix, and it's estimated that most of what you actually get into your blood, serum, and tissues is only 6% from a typical CBD oil out there, 94% of it ends up in the toilet. 94% ends up in the toilet. So the other thing you might want to look for is a substance that is water soluble. And that's why the doctors and I, and that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow night, that's why we jumped on board with a full spectrum hemp oil that has a proven bioavailability of 100, well, it's 100% water soluble because it goes through a special proprietary process. And there's a study that was done at Mayo Research Clinic verifying the absorbability or the bioavailability factor, and it's an average of 90% in a human body. So as opposed to it all ending up in the toilet, it's truly getting into the blood serum and the blood tissues. There are some that have been nano-enhanced that do have a little bit of a higher than the 6% bioavailability factor. But if you do your research and you find a CBD that you want to try, if you can find out if indeed they have a study backing their claims, that's the other thing that I do recommend. So we did find that particular product last fall, and it totally hijacked my career as a psychotherapist or a therapist, whatever it was I was doing. Within 2 months, I faded out all of my clients because of what the doctors and what I was witnessing in my life and in the life of our patients and our clients. And it's something that if I could get on a mountaintop and talk about why CBD, I would. I'm just so incredibly passionate about it. And Dr. Gary Gettelfinger is a friend of mine in Bloomington, Indiana. He's a pain doc at the IU Medical Center. And he asks all of his patients if they would like to try a dose. And most people say yes. And and this is a statistic that the company called Zalise has actually kept. 8 out of 10 people do feel something, some kind of relief, something that's noticeable, something that's significant within the first week. And I hesitate saying that because what if you're one of those people that doesn't feel anything? Does it mean it's not working? No. And this is my most important, I think, where I want to end is, this is our health, this is our body, this is our emotional being, our physical body. This is our pain body. These are the emotions or the physical symptoms that we sense, know, touch, or feel. This is our pain body. This is what we know about.
You're talking about an iceberg?
Yes. This under the surface stuff is all the stuff that's happening in the invisible world of our body, and we don't know about it. We just don't know about it. It's not like my mom when she was diagnosed with breast cancer that she went in to see her oncologist one day and, hey, you have breast cancer. No, that breast cancer had been developing in her energetically for probably about 20 years, if not her entire life, because she also had the genetic predisposition for breast cancer, okay? So what I love about phytocannabinoids, and that's what's in the full spectrum hemp oil, those little critters, compound, they know exactly where to go in your body. Sometimes they're going to go right to the pain body and they're going to give you symptomatic relief. But oftentimes they're going to go down here. And the beautiful thing about phytocannabinoids is what they do is one thing. They do not heal the body, but they recreate homeostasis and balance in every system of the body. So if your body systems can be rebalanced, well, what might happen in another 6 months or another year or another 2 years? And I'm going to share one story and then I'm stopping. My father had a cement mixer fall on him 32 years ago. He refused to take opioids, but he's been in pretty chronic pain since that happened 32 years ago. And he described the pain as 8 to 10 pretty much every day of his life. And I put him on this early last winter, and he took a dose a day for a month, felt no relief, none. And then I said, okay, Dad, why don't you hyperdose? Hyperdose is where you have a chronic condition and you take 2 to 3 doses for 2 to 3 months. So he took 2 to 3 doses for 2 months, still nothing. So I said, okay, why don't you just go back to the normal dose a day? So he did. And at month 6, he called me. He's 87 years old. And my nickname is She Doggy. And he said, She Doggy! I played a full round of golf with virtually no back pain today.
Yay!
So his pain now, it's 4 to 6. So what my dad wants to know is, okay, after I'm on it a year or 2 or 3 years, what's and if you Google CBD and bone, you will learn a little bit about what CBD does with our bones. I'm not making any medical claims. I'm just telling you a story about my dad. All right, so how much time do we have left? Questions?
15 minutes. I do have a question. Could
Yes.
you please explain the endocannabinoid system?
Well, it's a system that was just discovered in the early 90s by the doctor in Israel, Dr. Raphael. And it is the largest neurotransmitter system in the body. It's like a hormone, it's like the overarching hormonal system in our body that regulates all of the major body systems. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't like to go much more into the science of it. If you're interested in that, I can email you via Angela a lot of, in fact, what I could do is I could create an email for you, and then you could forward it to anybody who wants it. That will give you more explanation about the CB1 and the CB2 receptors and what they do and why they're important. Is that a good enough overview?
Does it work alongside of the autonomic nervous system? Is what it does?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And how does CBD oil affect that?
Well, it has a calming effect, and it just really seems to address the parasympathetic system and just brings relaxation and anandamide, which is kind of the bliss hormone in us. It activates that.
I gotta tell you, I am a big meditator, right? I meditate
Right,
twice
so
a day.
you know
So
about
I've been
anandamide.
using it, and since I've been using the CBD or the Zalise, my meditations have gone so deep. I think I've been in the quantum field once or twice. Yeah.
I would say something. So the parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic go to the toilet. Sympathetic makes your cheeks blush, your blood pressure go up, and most of us lives, if this is parasympathetic system not functioning, sympathetic
Exactly.
is over time. Your body functions can never ever work unless you bring this into perfect balance. And this is where healing happens. So if this stuff can do that.
Yeah, and the sympathetic is where the tiger is always potentially around the next corner. And we've needed that throughout history as we've evolved. We've needed to be alert. We've needed to react, but we don't need to stay in that hyper-vigilant place, right? So that's exactly what our sister here is talking about, is how do we bring the parasympathetic system into balance. The other thing I wanted to say, I can't remember, somebody was talking about REM sleep. So a person was saying, and was it maybe somebody you or Gayla shared with me? Somebody said, I'm really not sleeping that much more. And then he wore his Fitbit, which tracks REM sleep, and guess what? he's getting a lot more REM sleep, which is interesting. So what's going to happen maybe over time as he gets more of the restorative sleep, he's actually going to be able to sleep longer also. So and I've heard that now a couple of times with the Fitbit. If any of you guys have the Garmin or the Fitbits or whatever they are, they measure that at night. It's really dramatic, taking the CBD oil.
To tack on to that answer, I just watched a thing last night, just by chance, on that very topic. And they're finding that people that have like the night terrors that kind of act out in their dreams, almost 80% of them end up with Parkinson's.
What?
And
The
this,
movement
is,
disorders, yes.
this is a new finding. So if you know somebody that has that symptom, get them checked out. Start watching for that to be a part of their life. Maybe plan for it.
Yeah, and just to play on what you're saying, this is a whole new playground to learn about. This has been kept from us intentionally, okay? So do your research on this. And we have a sister here who's developing an expertise on medical marijuana. I mean, that may be exactly what you need for you. It's like, once you get into this, and this is what happened to me, well, actually, in 2014, when we knew what was coming down the pike with the hemp industry. And by the way, the hemp industry, by the end of 2019, by 2020, it will be a $1 billion industry. In the next 10 years, I think the estimate is by 2028, it will be a $1 trillion industry. We, the people, are taking it back. And never in the history of the world has there been an industry that's been $1 trillion. One industry, the hemp industry. And it's also anticipated that, this is a statistic, I mean, being an Iowa farm girl with corn and soybeans and everything else back there, I have a hard time saying this, but within 7 years, the hemp economy is going to be bigger than the corn and soybean economies combined. Excuse me?
Wow.
That's unbelievable to me.
It makes great t-shirts too.
Question. I am a recipient of the new medical marijuana card because I have severe pain from neuropathy. Now, can you tell me what the difference is between hemp and medical marijuana? I would not want to do this I don't want to do it. But I need some help.
Relief, you need relief.
Yeah.
So again, you may want to do a little bit more research, make your own decision. Here is what all of the doctors I work with tell us in the field to say to people, to ask them one question, 10 words. What improvements in your health do you want to see? And then hold up this blue bottle and say this. Try it. It might help. We have to be so careful not to make medical claims. However, if you Google if any of you Google a medical condition and CBD and go to PubMed.gov, there's a plethora of resources and research for you. If you're reluctant to have the psychoactive substance, then you might want to first start with a CBD full spectrum hemp oil and see how you do. Try that for I recommend a month to 3 months.
How do I do that?
You could talk to Angela about that. Yeah. And also, I am tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We'll be talking a little bit more, not only about the product, but also about, here's what happened. I had no intention of being a hemp junkie, no intention. I loved my career. I loved what I was doing. But when I was seeing what was happening, and I was sharing it, I've got a big network of people, and I was sharing it, everybody wanted it. So a lot of people, they want it for themselves, but they also know they want to share it with friends and family. there isn't a possibility of having an alternative stream of revenue. There is a business opportunity with that. So I'm also going to be talking a little bit about that tomorrow. but what I like most about doing the traveling and doing the speaking, I really like to do the education. I mean, I just think educating you so you guys can go home to the encyclopedia of Google and learn more and maybe form a study group together. There's just so much. There's a plethora of incredible information to learn about CBD in animals. I mean, the other thing, we have somebody here who works with the furry critters and the results that we're experiencing with animals. It's just mind blowing. Let's see. I want to pull this out. This is Snuggles. This is not a friend of mine, but a friend of a friend. This was Snuggles one day in January, and they were going to euthanize her.
What was wrong with Snuggles?
An autoimmune disorder.
Oh.
Okay, and again, I have to be careful what I say.
Okay.
And they had made an appointment. They had one last week with her. And the friend said, well, why don't you rub a little CBD oil on her gums? This was her a month later.
Wow.
And I have, if you want to.
See over here.
I'm wondering if it'll make Mr. Skitters run a little less.
Snuggles is a dog.
That was in January.
Skinny and looks
Maybe a name change would help. Mr. Skitters.
Amazing, huh? Okay, any other questions?
No, I got mine answered, thank you.
We have one over there and over here.
There's so many hemp oils out there. How do you know which one?
Well, I had been looking for 4 years. My search stopped with a product that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow night because it's, for me, out of all my research, it's the most cost effective, it's the most efficacious, and it's the highest quality. And what has been fun for me is because I work with so many doctors, I dare them. I say, find a product that's better than this. None of them do. They are all now sharing Ultracell with their patients across the board. I do not have one MD friend that has picked up on another product and over Ultracell. And it's just beginning. I mean, within 6 months, we became the #1 selling CBD full spectrum hemp oil in the country. Within 6 months.
Are you finding that doctors are becoming much more receptive to share this information with their patients now?
Well, if they're knowledgeable, and that's what all of the people that I'm working with now out in the field is we're educating the docs, except the doctors in functional integrative medicine. They all have been educating themselves. They know what happened back in the 30s, a lot of them. So we're educators, and that's what I love. And I think why I got on the bandwagon like I did is because it's just there's a tsunami that's coming at us with the hemp industry. And I want to be riding that wave in terms of educating and sharing. It is about health, but it's also about wealth. And it's just the business part of this has just started. And for those of us that are doing this, there's a lot of, there's many rewards.
And we have another question over here.
Yes. I understand you have to be very careful because it's not FDA approved of what you can say, but can you broadly say, have you seen any where it cannot mix with other people's medications?
Okay, what I can say is there are no contraindications with any medications. However, I always ask people, are you on chemotherapy, any chemotherapy drugs? Are you on any epileptic medication? If they are, I say, you really need to talk to your doctor about this. The other thing that we used to always ask is about, are you on a blood thinner? Because for people that are on a blood thinner, we really recommend they work with their doctor and start and stay at a low dose until we know a little bit more. Now, I know a lot of people that are on a full dose and they hyperdose and they're on blood thinners. So, but that would be, you'd want to be a little cautious with that. And there's no toxicity. You could drink a gallon of this now. You might go into severe detox, which is not a bad thing, but you maybe be...
It would feel terrible.
You would feel terrible, but you're detoxing, but there's no toxic dose associated with it.
Does that particular product use one strain of marijuana or a combination? And
Hemp.
Of the hemp.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Is it one strain of the hemp or a mixture? And what is the CBD percentage?
Okay, so we are, the bottle of this, I always have to look at it. In this, it's 16.67 milligrams, okay? And in the 1 month supply, it's 500 milligrams. However, because it's water soluble, it's 20 times as potent as any other 1 milligram or 1 ounce bottle. And now that's a little complicated. You don't, those of you that this doesn't make sense to, it's okay.
I may be able to help with that, maybe. So I've been doing a lot of, when she came to me about this CBD.
Do you want to
stuff-
come up here so you can be,
Because
this is important information, yeah.
Okay, I'll just say it faster. So she introduced this to me a little while ago, and I've heard about CBD oil, and I've heard about marijuana, medical marijuana, and all that stuff. Done research here and there, but she introduced it to me, and with being in the pet industry and the wellness with the pets, I looked more into it and looked into this company specifically before I dove in, and I researched many other companies. Green Roads, the spider one, the black
Charlotte's Web. Very expensive.
very expensive, different, all kinds of grades of CBD. Anyways, so this one is 16.67 milligrams per serving. Pretty much all, I think Charlotte's Web was a close match of like 14 milligrams per serving. Every other CBD oil, I probably researched about 40 different products. They're at 10 milligrams per serving. Okay, so this product is 60% more of active CBD, active ingredient of CBD per serving. 60% more.
And more
Plus,
bioavailable.
it's bioavailable.
And then plus all the other.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. That's why we can say.
And I was
For
like, I was doing the calculator. I'm a numbers person. I'm like 60%. I'm
Yeah.
like, is this right? It was 60% more.
How do you know what to dose the pets?
Per 10 pounds,
Per 10
it's
pounds.
generally a drop or two, and you play around with the dosing. Okay?
I've taken the recommendations of the veterinarians that have experienced with the product.
And
it seems to be
if a lot
less
of
is
you-
more is what I'm finding.
And if a lot of you are interested, we do these medical roundtables with medical professionals once every 4 to 6 weeks, and I have the pleasure of convening these calls. And we have these calls that are recorded. They're an hour of vets and or doctors talking, so I can make sure that when I send you the information, I'll send out those talks so you can listen to those talks to learn about what medical professionals are saying about CBD and why. We try not to hype too much. I mean, we're all so excited about this particular product, and doctors, they don't want to hype anything. But it's hard not to because of what we're seeing in the field and because of the bioavailability. I mean, it's one thing about the amount of CBD that we have in our product, but it's a whole nother thing. Not only the amount, but it's bioavailable, and it's not ending up in the toilet. That's what makes this product so valuable and cost effective.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone?
I just want to add something. I read in the paper about a young boy who was having seizures, like 40 seizures an hour. It was just ridiculous. And they tried out Depakote, Dilantin, all the drugs, and nothing was working for him. So they tried the CBD oil, and he got down to 1 seizure an hour, and it's made a huge difference. But then about a week later, I read in the paper about how the schools around here don't want to let kids bring that to school. They're not allowed to take it at school.
Now, one thing that's happening this September is the hemp bill, which Senator Mitch McConnell and Senator Schumer from New York, they're actually working together on this. The hemp bill is now included in the agricultural bill, It has to pass by the end of September. That is going to take hemp off the controlled substance list. It is now classified, which it should be classified, or it will be by the end of September, as a farm commodity. So there will be no more questions about it. However, it's still going to take, who knows, another year or 2 or 3 for everything to catch up with it. But it's legal at the federal level, but the state attorney generals in some states and DEA, they come in and they remove it from the shelves, and then a week later they have to put it back, unless it has more than 0.3 THC or a certain percentage of CBD, because, you know, it is monitored. You can only have so much.
Of THC?
Of THC, you mean?
Of THC.
So can I plant my own hemp plant now?
Nope.
I'm sorry, what?
Can I plant my own hemp plant now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Not yet.
Well, no, not yet. Not until it passes.
start it.
Yeah.
September it will be.
You know, that would be an incredible campaign. The day that bill passes, for everybody to go out and plant a seed. Thank you for that. I'm going to talk to my friends about that. Wow, that would be amazing. And to distribute the seeds now, yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ceci. Appreciate your information and knowledge.
Thank you.
Sharing your story. And as she said, tomorrow night she's doing another presentation. It's also actually going to also involve, if you're interested in the business part of this too, because it is a business as well. And I have some information. I have 10 copies here. If you want more, we can get you some. I'll email it to you or fax it or whatever you want me to do. Text, however, just let me know. So anyone who wants a copy, it's over at the, what is the name of that building?
Chamber of Commerce.
The Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce, which is in 1950. Masonic Lodge,
14th Avenue
14th and 60. It's that big white building with some blue on it, 1959, 14th Ave. Anyway, I do have some flyers regarding it, but we're going to talk more about CBD and the industry, and we're also going to be talking about a business opportunity. If you want to come and check that out, I do have some flyers. I do want to put my own 2 cents in. I started with this product as well. I had tried other CBD oils and did not feel any difference. I didn't know anything about it. It was in Colorado. I bought some. Like, oh, this looks good, whatever. Nothing. Who knows where it came from? Could have come from China. I don't know. I knew nothing. When I started this product, I was one of those people that took 3 weeks, and I just went into it thinking, we'll see what happens. I had no expectations. I have several health issues. I won't go into that. But the first thing that happened after 3 weeks is the hip pain I've been experiencing for quite a long time went away. Well, not entirely, but like 90%. I can live with that. I was so stiff all the time. I've mentioned this before, but I was so stiff when I'd get up from sitting a long time, or I'd wake up at night with hip pain. And that's mostly gone, like 90%, livable, right? And the other thing, like another 3 weeks went by, and I've had night sweats for years. Every night, waking up sweaty and hot. Sometimes cold and I'm sweaty, It's like, what the heck? Yes, I'm past the age of menopause and all of that stuff. I'm an old broad. But I started when 3 weeks go by, and now I'm only getting the hot sweats like twice a week, not 7 nights a week. I can live with that. It's not 100%, but it's so much better than it was. It's like, this is awesome, You just don't know how it's going to affect you. Donna has told me she's experienced some alleviation of symptoms from her asthma. She didn't expect that to happen. It's a bonus. So
Absolutely.
You just don't know. You might think, oh, I hope it does this. And it might not do that now. It might do it eventually. But I was pleased to find out what it did for me. So I hope you guys will consider it. And if you'd like to know more about it, please contact me. And you can come tomorrow night as well if you'd like to know a little bit more about the
Who
business
else here
aspect.
has experienced benefits and can offer a testimony?
For those of us who can't go tomorrow night, what is the brand name of the product?
Zelease Ultracell.
Yeah, come taste them over
Yeah,
there.
we have a little
Anybody wants to
tasting over
try
here.
a
We can get you
day?
some information.
Yeah, lemon or berry.
Is
Make
it
your choice now.
Z-E-L-I-S?
Z-I-L-I-S. Zelease.
Z-I-L-I-S.
Yes.
I was testing you, that was perfect.
Again, on your tables are my business cards. You can contact me as well as a sheet, a little 25 cards. You can make comments or please leave me a comment. It's hard, okay? But thank you for coming. Otherwise, we'll do a tasting over here. See Michelle, and I'll get you some information.
Good explanation on that.